Well, thank you all for coming here, and certainly to our panelists. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to hear what we're going to talk about this evening, which is all about these transformative advances in AI over the last few years. All of us are kind of scrambling to catch up, to find out how do we exploit, energize, and also, I suppose, be wary of these new technologies, particularly generative AI. So I want to kick off with a question to each of you, same question. And if we can take a broad perspective, and then we will dive deeper into some of the issues. So I put it to you first, Kenneth. How has AI transformed uniquely your industry in a positive manner over the last few years?
That's it. That's good. Okay. Thanks, Prof Gemma, for the question. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank Prof Bo, Prof Sharon, really for inviting me for this momentous occasion. Really, as an alumnus of NBS, really very, very proud to see these things happening and to see this building that's really unrecognizable from the years before. So super happy to be here, and also very thank you for the two gentlemen over there with your Heineken cans. And we see across here. Thank you for bringing it into the room. It's very good visibility for us. Yeah. So back to your questions. Also thanks Prof Gemma. Prof Gemma actually sent me the question last night. And like any typical Gen X that you're going to do, is you're going to put in ChatGPT and say, what is the answer to that question? So let me read you out very quickly on what the answer to the question before I give you the answers, right? The answer to the question is, first thing, AI will be able to improve your supply chain management, right? Increase productivity, improve your inventory management, and reduce logistic costs. Second thing is that AI is able to handle personalized marketing and improve customer segmentation, right? And then you get more targeted marketing. Third thing is that AI will improve product development by analyzing consumer data to identify trends, so you get more targeted marketing, right? And fourth is that AI will increase efficiency and reduce costs through automation of routine tasks. And five, of course, is AI or consumer goods industry is the use of AI will certainly increase, and then the collaboration between AI and other technologies will also increase, and that we have to be careful of the future because of ethical and social challenges. So that's the model answer from ChatGPT. Right. So if I look at it, what is really the disruption for us in our industry so far? One is that when you look at the answers that ChatGPT came up with that question, what do we think of their answers? Sounds logical, sounds acceptable, and sounds average. So AI at best is really giving you an average answer to a lot of things that is generally acceptable. So everyone will start to glue to it. Second thing is that AI is really, really super efficient in doing things that has already been done before. So when things are done before, recorded and codified, a human cannot beat an AI for reaching out whatever outcome you want to get from a codified instance. So certainly that part recently can improve efficiency and improve the way that we are doing things. However, when we look at in our industry as well, if you go beyond AI, if you put two top marketers in a room and start to have a conversation, you probably have something that is totally different. And then what you can see is AI really could raise the floor, but not raise the ceiling. So that's one thing that I find that in industry, in terms of efficiency-wise, simply super high. In terms of creativity-wise, there is a lot to go. Based on the answers that I've given you at first, it's just an average answers, and it's not something that's really out of the box. So to give you a more than average answer to your question, let me provoke a little bit of our thinking. Let's paint a situation where what if all of us are given a choice to subscribe to a service that you say, you know, this is what my needs are, Monday to Sunday, this is the needs, this is the time, and this is what I like to consume. And everything can be arranged. And then if you subscribe to it, you get a discount. Very good discount because there's bulk purchases, on-time delivery, everything can be arranged. So in a perfect world, that's great. Good deal. Will you like it? So in terms of brands, no brands, right? But it satisfies all your needs. So is that something that the world is going towards? Right. If we are looking at price and cost as a criteria, of course that is the best solution. But Prof Gemma probably is the guru in this subject, that human is a lot more complex than that. It's not about price. It's also about the desire to go for things that you cannot achieve. So that's where I think in terms of marketing, that is the magic of it. That will continue to thrive, and that's why you probably choose an AP watch and not an Apple Watch. It is decided for you, yeah. By 5th of May, I want to get a watch. And then you can arrange for you. Then suddenly you get a watch. Maybe it's an Apple Watch, a Xiaomi watch. You know, and then when you get it, it satisfies your need, but not necessarily satisfy the desire. So I think that is really the scope that we all have to be awakened to it as well, that not necessarily everything is about total efficiency, and not necessarily everything is about total cost. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I think that we absolutely crave novelty and creativity. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little bit bored of ChatGPT already. So it didn't take too long. Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah. Krishnan, can I ask you to
Sure.
enlighten us?
Yeah, the impact on my industry. You said positive, so I'll stay away from the.
Yeah, we're going to get to the downsides.
Everybody running around with their hair on fire part of it. No, honestly, AI has been around for ages, right? So we've been using it. There are a couple of experts I'm looking at in the room who are the absolute whizzes on using data dynamically. So AI has been doing that for us for many years now. So I won't talk so much about Gen AI, talk about AI and what it's done for us. I think it's brought us closer and closer. If you looked at the spectrum as one to many on one side and one to one on the other, it's bringing us much closer to the one-to-one, right? So the ability to crunch data, understand consumers at scale, and then speak to consumers and have a dialogue with consumers closer and closer to the one-to-one is what AI has been able to do for us. I think there's some great examples of that in the past. What Transformers and the birth of Gen AI has done for us is sort of supercharge that. The ability to truly be one-to-one is what I'm hoping we'll see soon. Right now, AI is used to do much more superficial things. The Gen AI is being used to do that, but I think the role of AI and the ability to crunch data in volumes that are unbelievable is what I think is transforming our business today. And for me personally, I spent a lot of my career in CRM and loyalty and data-driven marketing. Over there, it's been brilliant, right? So in the ability for loyalty programs to truly understand consumers and not just be about demographic segmentation, but also psychographic and understanding consumers from a motivational and emotional scale. That's been marvelous, right? So if you can do that, then you can produce communication that truly touches the emotions. We're all, I like to, and people in NTU have heard me say this, we're not thinking machines that feel, we're feeling machines that think, right, as human beings. So we make purchase decisions emotionally and gather information rationally. But all communication at us is rational, right? And because only emotion is done only at a mass scale. So with the transformers and the ability to do work at a one-to-one level, we're able to trigger emotion and motivation on a one-to-one basis. That I think is super exciting at the moment. And I should also say, when the logo went up, I remember that the origin of that logo, you should all know, came from Jenny App. I think it was, 18 months ago? Must have been 18 months ago we met. She talked about the institute, about the center. And I was like, you can make a logo. I was so excited about it at that point. Like, you can make a logo like this. And we opened up Stable Diffusion or Midjourney, one of the two, and we messed about with it. A few strings later, the origin of that appeared. And I still see some traces of that logo, but so you see AI is in the bones of it.
Okay, so before I move on to Sotis, does this mean creativity is dead?
We get there.
Sotis, we had a little chat before this meeting, I have to confess, and we talked about the opportunity that AI offers at further differentiating from your competitors. Is that true, or actually do you think that differentiation is going to decrease?
Big question, right? I think personalization is a big efficiency, gain that AI provides us, at least in B2B marketing where I work. Differentiation, I tend to agree with Krishnan, right? I don't think, using the same templates, using the same homogeneous marketing, I think that Gen AI can deliver as an output to you, will really craft the future position of your company, right? I don't think whatever an agency partner or an in-house marketer can very much do, and the strategic thought, input and mindset that they provide, it's probably a limitation, that AI honestly provides. We have a lot of examples where AI, I think, has gone wrong, right? By giving the wrong offers to the wrong customer at the wrong time, via the wrong channel. Human intervention can obviously prevent, most of these things. I think at best for us in B2B marketing at least, we do work with a lot of shared services, around the world. Maybe AI can, cover some of that work and ideally, hopefully, replace it, through automation and efficiency. But I don't think that, everything can be covered in that sense.
Okay. Kenneth, I want to ask you, what have been the most significant challenges in integrating AI in your organisation?
Well, I think first thing it starts with the data. And collecting the data is not necessarily the easiest task. And first, structuring the data and getting across all the countries to put it in the same format to start to use and make some sense out of it. So we're still actually in a very infantile stage. And of course, data differs by countries. So we might get very data efficient in very developed countries, like in Europe, US, Japan, for example. But over in Southeast Asia, where a lot of trades are fragmented, the mums and the pops, we don't get data there. So one of the big challenges is that, you know, depending on the type of data, what answers you want to get out of it. And two is, what do we use data? Is it a B2B or a B2C? Are we talking about consumers as well? So getting consumers' data is also another level of complexity as well. So step one is getting there, but it always has to be the first baby step. So when we get our data, then we start to exercise on it and learning how to use it. So making a data culture in the company as well is also baby steps. You know, what kind of questions do we want to ask? And what do we want to get out of it? So we are still learning as we go along, and also learning with consulting companies like Krishnan's company, and learning all over that you know, what can we get best out of it. So big opportunities, we see a lot of expectation, but then really getting the juice out of it is not yet a very big time for us.
Krishnan, I want to just dig a little bit deeper into the whole threat, potentially, that Gen AI brings to the creative industry. You know, is this a potential warning, or is this something where we're going to see, actually, Gen AI has opened up a universe of additional creative opportunities, and particularly for the younger generation? Because I think there's been some concern that you know, AI is going to take over all of our jobs, and I mean, a lot of this sort of in the news, and just replace us. What do you think about that?
It's fear-mongering, firstly. I think it can only make us better, right? So Gen AI is not going to replace creativity. It's going to replace execution of a creative idea. So it's not going to replace creative people. It's going to replace creative people. I mean, creative people who know how to use Gen AI is going to replace creative people who don't, right? So there is an entire generation of, I think, people, not just creative people. I shouldn't say all people are creative. There's a generation of people, I think, in every industry who have to evolve or die. It's put simply, right? So it is about making sure that it's not just going to impact the creative industry, it's going to impact every industry, right? So the idea is that you've got to help make downstream jobs more effective and efficient, right? So, for instance, there were insurance companies in the US. One of our clients, I remember, 7 years ago, was using AI to adjudicate claims, right? Because it involves reading reams and reams of policy documents. And what it did was take 6,000 claims and only throw up 80 for human intervention because it didn't understand something. So that will get smaller, so you have talent that will go further upstream. People will start using their abilities for more creative, intellectual, and innovative tasks, and repetitive, mechanical tasks will be done by the machines. So that can only help every single part of the industry, right? So today, and this is not, there's some brilliant work out there where, and in fact, actually, I was in Cannes middle of last year, and the biggest ideas and the biggest winners all use AI, right? So an idea that from Ogilvy that's won, I think, for 2 years in a row, practically every award out there, the Shah Rukh Khan Cadbury's work, right? That had generative AI at the core. Right? It was a platform called Rephrase.ai that they used to, after shooting Shah Rukh doing generic phrases, that then reproduced campaigns at the speed of thought, right? In fact, Snigdha from MasterCard was just here. So MasterCard won a titanium in Cannes last year, for a campaign that was run by MasterCard Poland called Where to Settle, right? A fantastic piece of work. It was an AI that was built into an app that linked with every resource in Poland, whether it was jobs, housing, food, shelter, everything. The app was called Where to Settle. Ukrainian refugees were coming in. The first thing they were told to do was download the app. It plotted their skills with jobs that were available, housing, family size, and it told you which town in Poland to go and settle. Right? Incredible use of AI and an incredibly creative idea. Right? So that won a titanium. So I actually don't think AI is a threat, or Gen AI is a threat to creativity. I think it can only help creativity.
Yeah. So that's a lovely example, and I think the lesson there is that if you use this technology to bring value to consumers, you will be rewarded. If you're using it just as a gimmick, perhaps not so, and perhaps that's where the differentiation between competitive edge, and just being a also-ran comes along.
Yeah, that's been happening with every technology, right? I mean, there was 5 years ago, there was something with a drone, and I bet that came out of a bunch of people sitting in a room saying, let's do something with a drone. Not because they needed the drone to provide value, but hey, it's cool, let's use a drone. So it's the same thing. It's, you can either use it, you can have the idea lead the technology, or you can have the technology lead the idea, and the end product will be very obvious what you want.
Okay. So we've been talking a little bit about B2C, but Sotis, I'm sure you have some remarks here about the impact of AI on the B2B industry. And certainly we discussed things like the impact on leadership and division in the workforce. Would you care to?
Well, lots of thoughts, right? I think, first of all, a bit of myth busting. I think AI in B2B, and particularly in tech, is not a new thing, right? I remember doing AI in 2011 when I first moved to Singapore, and I was doing propensity to buy models to predict which customer is going to buy which SAP product, right, in 1 or 2 years, and we sent these people email campaigns.
Was the answer everybody buys everything?
Not necessarily, right? But if you think about it, actually, Krishnan, right? Amazon as a bookstore, right? For those people who still read books, I hope you do. Amazon, 10, 20 years ago, probably, for those who remember, always sent you recommendations. Customers who bought, this book also bought this CD or DVD or another book, right? It's the same idea, right? A propensity to buy one. So arguably, predictive analytics, which is a key component of AI, and AI arguably in its most basic form has existed, in 2010, right? So I feel it's not a new thing, right? I agree, Krishnan, with your view. I think it adds efficiencies, any piece of technology or software is doing what AI is doing. I think it just pushes you to innovate more and think more strategically and out of the box and become even more competitive than what you used to be. If you look at B2B more broadly, right, so obviously I work for SAP, we sell AI technology, right, in the context of HR, marketing, supply chain, etc., you name it. It also creates a lot of questions about, the ethical aspects, of AI, right? I believe a lot of you might know that case study, right? Target, in the US, had a very interesting campaign, using, again, predictive analytics to target pregnant women or women that they believe might be pregnant, right? And there was this very funny story that they would analyze the buying behavior of women who go to their stores and buy pregnancy tests. And then they would send them, promotional material about baby clothes and, baby food, What about the women who are struggling to get pregnant, right? It really raises a lot of ethical questions, right? Why you would actually do this as a company, and obviously a creative genius, a marketing strategist would have probably, glanced over that data, and say something is not really kosher, right? So I think it is that. I think in line with it, I think it's also, there is a lot of issues actually, if you think about it, right? Arguably, AI only works for English-speaking consumers, or institutions. that you're targeting. You know, there is not a lot of AI modeling available in Italian. There's only one country in the world with probably 50, 60 million people. Not all of them may be on the internet, you know, to, you know, provide these data points that you need. So I think, you know, there is obviously limitations, right? If you look at certain geographies, certain countries, certain languages, I think there's also a divide between older generations and younger people, right? If you look at the situation it creates, you know, in the workforce, you know, take even an IT company like SAP, we probably, you know, have to accommodate 4 or 5 generations of people in the workforce. It gives probably younger people a little bit of a competitive advantage to be very close to these tools. But what if, you know, your decision makers and the customers that you are targeting are in their 60s because they have the authority to sign off, you know, on a larger deal that you're trying to create with them? How much can AI do to drive that decision? You know, it's a big question. So I think it's a PhD level conversation, you know, before you start thinking about it.
Well, you're in the right company then.
Really, I'm probably in the right company. You know, but arguably you could say every company is a technology company nowadays, and every market here is a tech market here, right? No matter where you are. But I do think it creates a lot of questions. You know, it comes with limitations. A massive efficiency booster. You know, no question about that. And yeah, you know, the future is definitely exciting. What can we say? I think it makes us creative, arguably, with our marketing budgets. You know, how do we use them? You know, there is, you know, a lot to be done. Arguably, you know, if you want to stay at the forefront of innovation, right, you will still need great people. You will still need great agencies, and you obviously want to operate in an ethical, you know, way. You know, in the way you show up, you know, as a marketing organization.
Okay. This is an observation from one of my students for the last couple of days. We were trying to use ChatGPT and other GAI algorithms to develop new logos or advanced designs for some of the big brands. And there was a lot of sort of like tutting and you know, this kind of thing going on. And so I you know, went to the different groups and I said, so normally if I say, look, you don't have to design it yourself, you can use generative AI, everybody's very happy. But you guys are very sort of like, you know, frustrated and annoyed and what's going on. And so they said, well, it's just crap these days, isn't it? ChatGPT. And I said, what? Yeah, 2 months ago, it was brilliant. But now that everybody is using it and it's getting so much, you know, input from us, from the users, that it's overloaded. And in fact, the outputs are becoming not as specific, not as creative, or not as crisp. So, and I was looking at the output, and I don't think it knows what a logo is. I mean, it was highly convoluted outputs, and you know, it obviously doesn't understand sarcasm because the students being a bit sarcastic with it, and you know, so it was sort of degenerated. But you know, is that true? Do you know what's going on behind the scene? I put it to you too. If this is true, if more and more of us are using this technology, is it going to get better, or is it going to sort of regress to the mean?
Yeah. Yes and no. It doesn't. It actually doesn't work like that. Like it's not that everything anyone is saying to ChatGPT or GPT-4 anywhere in the world is influencing what it says to somebody else. Actually, it's all about the prompt. It is how you can refine it. The best users of GPT-4 I've seen get fantastic stuff out of it, right? Because they work at it. It's not simple, actually. You start, you get the first response, then you refine the prompt based on that first response. You take pieces of it, pieces of the fourth one, pieces of the fifth one, re-engineer the prompt for the 7th time. It takes a while, but when you finally get it, like people who use DALL-E well, people who use Stable Diffusion well, really do a good job, and I've seen fantastic work come out of it, right? So, but it takes time. It's actually not an easy thing. A lot of people who use it go with the first answer. right? Today, there's actually, I think it's GPT-4 that helps you refine your prompt. Like you write the prompt and it'll tell you, should I write the prompt for you? And then it'll make the prompt better. Right? And but if you have a conversation with it, like if you speak to it and that's what LLMs are about, right? So if you speak to it in natural language and you say, I like what you did there, I'd like to take that piece and I'd like to add something else. Can you dial up this? Can you bring this in? Right? Oh, you left out a little bit that I liked, bring it back. Right? But eventually, you get to a piece that is close to what you want. Then the work starts. Then you take it out and you start working on it.
So basically, how is this different from a very advanced and creative team?
Well, a creative team doesn't work like that, right? You don't get a bunch of writers together and then, Margaret knows, he's worked with tons of agencies in his life, and you don't get them together and say, right, write a line about write the tagline. And then they all read it out. And then you go, no, that shit. Take that bit and add it to that bit. You don't get to do that, right? You give the brief. 3 weeks later, his agency team will show up and they'll present to him for 1 hour and he'll go, that shit, go back and redo it. And then 2 weeks goes by. But today, you could, in theory, all be in the same room, right? And what you agree on when you walk into the room is the question, not the answer. You all agree that, okay, we've got to get 30% more 14 to 17-year-olds to have KFC AM for breakfast. That's the brief. Everyone agrees on the question. And then everyone in the room is co-creating whatever that answer to that question is, using all the tools that are available. That's, I think, what future marketing should look like. Right? All the talent and perspectives are in the room rather than, okay, I bring the question, you bring the answer, and let's meet at 10 a.m.
So Gemma, I want to build on this, right? Because I wholeheartedly agree here with Krishnan, right? I would first of all say, I don't think I would ever, as a marketer, I would never let, AI create my logo, right? It is, sorry, no offense. No offense.
Right. We will recreate this logo.
We will recreate the logo, but think about what this analogy actually does for you, right? I would still want an amazing agency like Ogilvy to create a uniquely differentiated logo for me that serves a global purpose, that is well researched, that is actually a unique idea, and that serves my very, very specific purpose and allows me to stand out. I don't want to be a Me Too logo in the market, number one, right? But I would probably pay Krishnan a lot of money for that job.
He's very happy to hear this.
He's extremely happy to do it, right? His happiness is my utmost concern. But I would actually pay a lot of money for this. But then I would go to Krishnan and say, hey Krishnan, I paid you a lot of money for this logo. Now take this logo and use AI to create a ton of content for me and actually get it personalized, cut me a million versions of this and save a lot of money by using AI. But then use these savings to put it into execution. Buy me print media, buy me digital media, buy me, I don't know, events, whatever my channels are, and actually shift my marketing investments towards the generation of results and not towards the generation of content that never gets out of the door, right? Because content actually has consumed most of my budgets in the past, right? So I think it just really finds the entire value chain, right? You want, something very unique at the beginning, then you want mass production of content, which AI can do, but then you still want to be in the right channels with your offers, right? And get out in front of the, in front of the customer, to the right customers. And I think, it's probably an evolution of the value chain, Krishnan, in that analogy, but it doesn't mean that all of the work can be absorbed by AI.
No, absolutely not. And that's what I mean. So the heavy lifting that the generative AI is going to do is downstream, right? It's and that allows you to then do the one-to-one, right? It helps you get better, get more effective, and not just efficient.
Don't worry, the centre will be taking our cut for this one. Kenneth, as we look to the future, what emerging AI technologies or trends are you most excited about, and how do you plan to integrate them into your business strategy?
I think the possibilities are endless. First thing for consumer companies for us is the targeted marketing. That what we're going to look at is look how do you target consumers by batch, by region, by areas, using the data and getting it more targeted. And I totally agree with Sotis' way of looking at it. For us, we call it working ATL and non-working ATL. So the non-working ATL part, which is more that pre-work and maybe the creative parts, you see the budget shifting towards more working ATL, which is getting the results. And that's where the shift, I think, in terms of how we communicated with creative agencies and ad agencies is also shifting as well. I think one big part is that when we're saying, let's talk about logo, we may not use AI to create a final logo, but we'll still use AI to approximate and give us roughly an idea of what we're thinking about. And that will land in an approximate area and say, look, this is roughly what I'm thinking about, and please refine this and make it more perfect and reach out even more. So both, I think the creative in terms of generating graphics, generating videos, that's something that I think is something that we can look forward to. I think going forward as well, like I think all the actors and actresses are very, very worried that they're going to be out of job because AI can replace them. In 20 years from now, I believe we'll all be watching our own personalized movies as you like it and your own personalized ads. So all the billboards, everyone has their own personalized billboards in their phone, everywhere. It's all targeted at them. So that I think is one way that we're looking at. And of course, like I said, we're still inventive. I think that the exponential growth potential of applying that using the data first, and how do we get more targeted? How do we learn from successful launch campaigns and what are unsuccessful launch campaigns? And so, for example, if we can put case studies or use cases of, let's say, 20 launches that we have, and then combine them and say, these are the 4 successful ones, and let's merge these 4, and how do we make one perfect one together? And gradually, this iteration is just going to get everyone sharper and sharper. Yeah.
Thank you. So one of the quiz questions we had was about, what is marketing all about? And I think telepathy was like predicting what consumers want out. So, how do you think you can incorporate those kind of, thinking forward into the future for the two of you? Where do you see all of this heading? In 20, 30 years' time?
I actually didn't vote for that one in the quiz. The next one. Because without the next one, you wouldn't get that. Right? Which was about data. Right? So you can't understand the consumer if you don't get under this. I forget what it was. What was that?
Give me a moment.
Come on. At your level of intellect, it should have been. Why did you say it? You should have had it. Come on, after everything they said about you.
No, it's pressure.
No pressure.
Let me ask ChatGPT.
Anyway, look, I think for me, personalization is what I'm looking forward to. Like, as a consumer, right? Forget about as a marketer or anything. Like, we were talking the other day about hotels, right? Imagine if you checked into a hotel and when you got to your room, the art on the wall was art that you liked. Right? Because there's digital panels. And because your Bonvoy membership knows enough about you, when you check in, that room is decorated like in tones or themes that you enjoy as a traveler. If you did give consent, maybe pictures of your family. You walk into a hotel room and it's personalized, right? And so a level of, and having AI do things that are, like, I don't know if you all remember, there was this big uproar a couple of years ago when someone spotted a camera on the Singapore Airlines seat back video screen. Do you remember that? And it was in the news, and there was this whole social media was going nuts about, are they spying on us? Yeah, because all Singapore Airlines wants to do is to watch you in your economy class seat like this all night. The thing was, 12 years ago, when those Panasonic panels were designed, some engineer in Panasonic decided we should put a camera in it, because when you can do immigration clearance on the plane, that would be useful. Right? Smart, right? Singapore can do it today. Right? So if Changi, STB, and SQ get together, on any Singapore Airlines flight flying in, once you hit 10,000 feet on descent, you should be able to clear immigration. So you land and you go straight to baggage claim. Right? Because the bandwidth exists, the AI, the processing speed exists, and you'll be able to, and all the information's on it, right? Already your passport is scanned, all the information is in the SG arrival card. So it'll take you a minute to clear immigration on the plane. So personalization and the ability to make life easier is what I'm looking for. And all of this is bad, like communication.
Sotis, any last remarks, any cautionary tales?
Definitely. I'm looking at that 2-minute sign up there, and he's a very scary person in his own right. No, but look, personalization, absolutely. I feel, from a B2B perspective, right, I think what AI does and where the future is, every B2B organization will be a marketing-led organization. Gone are the days when we were product-led and sales-led. I think what AI will do for marketing is it's going to be a huge booster in terms of putting marketing at the top levels of the organization, because you actually can seriously decrease your dependency on salespeople, right? You can predict who's going to buy what. You can decrease your dependency on inputs from a sales organization, and you literally don't really need salespeople to tell you what customers think, what their thoughts are, what they want to buy. You can actually use AI to do it yourself, right? So I think it creates a massive leadership opportunity for B2B marketers out there to really step up, to use all their academic knowledge that they get from business schools like NTU. And I think it really creates a new era for B2B marketing in particular, and that's really the exciting part. I think when you're in marketing, you have to create the future. You should live in the future ideally, and I think that's what AI will do in B2B in particular.
Great, thank you very much for that. Right, I think we've got time now for a few questions. So if anybody in the audience would like to put some pearls of wisdom to our panelists, please do so. Yes, Jim.
So, a question for Krishnan.
This is a family show.
Are there some limits or potential backlashes against all this personalization? I'm just thinking the picture you depicted of a hotel where there's going to be there's going to be the art that I like. Sounds a bit terrible to me. A life that is completely predictable seems absolutely boring, right? I think that if people wanted a predictable life, Heineken would be out of business.
Maybe not.
Well,
So my question is, is there some limit to all this one-to-one personalization?
There is.
Because people don't know what they want.
one big limit. It's called consent, right? So you will only get what you want. That's when marketing is working, right? So if you are someone who loves the joy of adventure and you're okay with one day your walls of your hotel room peeling off and, being whatever, and the next day, fantastic. Great, right? That's what you opt for. I want something else, I'll opt for that, right? So that's the limit. So, and when you get to a point when you can do one-to-one personalization, that's what it means. That you can opt to have or opt to not have. Right? So I think that's the learning, and the fact that every single country is slowly implementing data protection laws is that we will all get that. To your earlier point about data collection, all of it is useless today, right? So it's how you collect, how you use, how you demonstrate, how you take advantage of. All of that will change and governed by one rule, consent.
If I can build on that, apart from consent, I think the word is choice. There will be in future the cost of choice. So if you take back the hotel example, you might go to the hotel on that particular week or that particular day that you feel like, I like the room light to be a party light, right? And then another week you go, you might want to have a romantic light.
Let's go.
Yeah, but it's already predetermined for you that you want a party light all the time. So it is the same thing also for food choices, right? You might be predetermined, this guy come to SQ business class or always choose a lobster tomato every time, book the chef. And then when it comes, hey, today I feel like bak chor mee. So it's a very different thing. So it's also the choice part that creates the difference on the occasion, and that's where the human part comes in, and it depends, and that is not predictable.
Any questions? Yes, please.
This question is for the panel, including Gemma. I hope it also encourages the audience to ask questions.
Ferrari, please.
Among the three things in the title, market efficiency, differentiation, and consumer engagement, the one that I have most trouble with is consumer engagement. As a marketer, as a marketing educator and thinker, I fear the day when the brand becomes an AI-driven meme that is the thing that engages the consumers instead of the people behind the brand. Because to me, what makes a great brand is the people behind it. And AI, if it's a tool that helps the people behind the brand to make the brand engage with the consumers, that's fine. But if the brand becomes a being, with all the intelligence and so on, predict, just like what Krishnan has described, right? Gain the room for you and so on. To me that's freaky and I dread it. So what will become of the brand? People behind it.
What's your favorite brand?
We have many great brands in this.
No, just you. You as an individual. Give me a brand that you truly
Nanyang
love.
Business School.
Okay, minus the ass kissing, name a brand that you really like. No, a brand that it could be anything. It could be Grab. It could
I'm
be.
going to use a brand that's in this room.
Yeah.
Singapore Airlines.
Okay. So, Singapore Airlines, why you love it is, I bet you, nothing to do with, I don't think it has anything to do with the product. There's heartstrings,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to change.
I mean,
That's what I meant by.
I love it when the people behind it, the cabin crew, captain, everyone, the ground crew, and so on, they make an effort to serve and to make my journey more pleasurable, and make an effort to figure out.
I swear we didn't rehearse this, but he's really
but it's
setting
not,
me up.
it's not some being that has figured it out,
True.
everything.
Okay, I'm just going to say one thing, right? And this is currently my pet peeve, which is your experience is your brand, right? Completely. So this this thing that the entire industry seems to have done, which is to completely bastardize the term customer experience into meaning technology and CRM and stuff like that, is just the worst crime. Customer experience is such a higher order intangible that consumers experience that everything needs to lead from there, right? So, and the brand you mentioned is quite interesting because they have access and they own a lot of technology, like really cutting edge technology. But you don't really experience much of that. You don't see that because they prioritize experience and the intangible experience over the tangibles as part of that experience, right? So there's a lot of money being spent on the app and on the check-in and all of that stuff, and on the hard product, which is the aircraft, and the soft product, which is all of the stuff in the aircraft. And there's a lot of money, time, technology being spent on that. But what you like is the experience, which is all of that put together, right? So, like I said, we did rehearse this, but thank you for setting me up. Right? I think as marketers, we should remember that. Pinaki's got his hand up.
I was thinking if there's a next question.
Before you go to the next question, I think I have a view on this as well, right? I think we're getting confused between a brand and a logo. A logo is an artifact. A brand is a collection of values that a company represents, right? And I think we spoke, just to throw in another example, we spoke about Swiss watches at some point in the break, right? So what does Patek Philippe sell? It doesn't sell a watch. It sells family values and generational wealth. What do they say? You never own a Patek Philippe. You just take care of it for the next generation. It says it all. So the bigger level question is, will AI tell you what your values are as a company and as a brand? And ultimately, it is these values that connect you to a target market and to another human being. Rhetorical question, can AI solve that for you?
One last question.
Thank you. It's been a very engaging discussion. So, look, AI will change a lot of things, and a couple of things that I can think of recently is it will allow or it will create new combinations which were not there earlier. It will create new solutions which probably were not not existing today, but it allows for it because of the broader understanding, deeper understanding, etc. And time, basically the speed with which it can be done. How do you see this balance changing, let's say, a few years down the line? What of this would be more AI proper? More importantly, some of it will be technology proper, right? Chip will probably determine the speed. But being in a university and the kids here, what skill sets would be able to help leverage some of these AI possibilities which the kids and the young students should focus on?
I'm actually very enthusiastic about the next generation of this, just because I think they have stronger ethical values than we do. Put simply, right? I genuinely believe that my daughter is more principled than I am, right? Just because her entire group is, like all of them, have very strong values about gender and diversity and equality and equity and inclusivity and all of that. They feel it, right? And not just tell it and listen to it. So I think that the challenges that I feel with AI, and, I mean, you and I have discussed this, Gen AI is inherently racist in most cases, right? So I feel those ethical challenges, right? And this whole, also on the genome side of AI and stuff like that, there's ethical challenges. So I do believe that the previous generation, who are the decision makers, the political leaders, and us, we're all bad for this, right? But I do believe the next generation are more principled and will be stronger at being able to use it correctly. So I think it's a race between how quickly AI and technology gets there and the next generation get there in time to save us from it, from ourselves, let's say.
Thank you very much. I think that's a fantastic note to end on, and I'd like to invite the audience also to thank all of our panelists today.